Good morning. As usual, when we get started, I want to make sure that you shut off your cell phones, put away your laptops, things, those kind of things. We're very fortunate today. We do have a local executive, so that you can get a kind of idea of what goes on in northern Indiana here as far as business is concerned. I want to remind you that next week we will have Terrence Cavanaugh here, so that's next Friday. As you know, we don't have Boardroom Insights lecture series every week, but sometimes they're back-to-back. So we will have Terrence here next Friday, so make sure you put that on your schedules. Today is Alice Martin. Alice is from NIBCO, which is a local company here in the Mishawaka area, South Bend, Mishawaka area, actually located in Elkhart. She is the Vice Chairman and Chief People Officer, and she has been with NIBCO since 1995. She is the president and co-founder of the Rex and Alice Martin Foundation, a charitable foundation which funds major projects for children in all of the NIBCO locations. She also serves on a number of boards, the Texas State Board of CASA for Indiana Youth, Texas State Board of CASA and the Indiana Youth Institute, Elkhart General Hospital, WNIT Public Television, Ruthmore Foundation, and Indiana University of South Bend. Most recently, she was honored with the Sagamore Wabash Award, the state of Indiana's highest award. She's also received honors from WNIT, the Rotary International, the President's Summary for America's Youth, Indiana State Senate, Indiana House of Representatives, and in 1997, she was awarded the Public Broadcasting System's National Leadership Award. So you can see she epitomizes the concept of being involved in the local community. She holds a bachelor's degree from Eastern Illinois University and a master's degree in business administration from University of Illinois. 2 daughters. Alexis just finished college at IU, and Ashley, a 2007 graduate of the Mendoza College of Business, is now pursuing her MBA at SMU. Before I bring Alice on stage, we're going to show a short video about the company so you get a little background on NIBCO.
Did you ever wonder how the water you use every day reaches its destination? Have you ever seen an impressive fountain display or careen down the slides at a water park? NIBCO is a global leader in the manufacture and technology of flow control products, and we're looking for young, enthusiastic talent to join our team.
My name is Dana Clark. I graduated from Indiana University.
My name is Deepak. I went to college in India.
My name is David Starry. I went to Calvin College in Grand Rapids.
I'm Diane Chen, and I get my MBA from Notre Dame.
At NIBCO, we feel like the youngest 100-year-old company around. 4 generations of the Martin family have led the company founded and headquartered in Elkhart, Indiana. And we've adapted and grown over the years to become a global leader in flow control technology.
It's an industry that is never going to fall under because it is essential.
We have like over 100 years old history, but instead of being a really traditional company, we still keep up with all the latest technology.
At NIBCO, we work hard, but we like to play hard too. We have weekly lunches on the lawn during the summer. After hours, associates have access to theater, art, and athletic event tickets. And in the South Bend Elkhart area, there's always plenty to do.
It's a very friendly town. It's not huge, but it's big enough that you can make your mark. And there's a lot of people our age.
I like the fact that we have all 4 seasons right here in northern Indiana. I like the fact that we're very centrally located to a lot of big metropolitan areas. We're close to Indianapolis, we're close to Chicago.
Everything revolves around Notre Dame around here. You want your college atmosphere, college experience, tailgating, all those activities are all 20 minutes away from Elkhart.
The lakes around here are very abundant. There's a lot of kayaking that is available, canoeing, skiing. And then Lake Michigan is only 45 minutes from here.
The beaches are fantastic. There's a lot of nightlife that goes on up there as well. I've had many trips to Chicago, big shopping fan.
The quality of life is good. The cost of living is very affordable. Your dollar goes a long way in Elkhart, and the surrounding areas.
In our world of increasing monetary disparity, NIBCO recognizes work as the means by which you may afford to live, but more important is the quality of each person's life. The Rex and Alice A. Martin Foundation supports everything from libraries to a new state-of-the-art water and ice park along the banks of the Elkhart River.
But NIBCO has a very good reputation within our community. We try to better the community where we're at.
They stay very involved with skate parks, stay very involved with the community. They have a NIBCO complex over here for soccer, which is very big in the city of Elkhart.
At NIBCO, you'll be challenged every day with exciting changes in our industry. Stimulating assignments across the U.S. and around the world are available, and as part of the NIBCO team, you'll be given the opportunity to grow and adapt in any direction you choose.
I came here because I was looking for a company that wasn't too big and too small, a company where I could make a difference in what I do.
Being a new college graduate, you really want to learn.
NIBCO has a college grad program where they actually mentor you, they give you the tools to succeed.
That's one of the main things I was looking for in a company, was to have a lot of opportunity and a lot of room to grow.
I recently had a position in sourcing, in procurement, where I was able to visit suppliers in Europe quite often. That was very exciting. Italy, Spain, England, many nice places like that.
I received my MBA from Regis University. I was given the opportunity several years later to do postgraduate work at Stanford in supply chain management, and that was also funded by NIBCO.
Your future at NIBCO can be anything you want it to be. We are a revolutionizing force in our industry, and we will give you the tools you need to be successful.
It's a big company, but it's got a small company feel to it. We're all, friends around here. It's kind of like the NIBCO family.
I feel like there's nowhere I can't go in this company. The doors are wide open here.
It's a great place to learn, it's a great place to work, and it's a great place to grow.
NIBCO offers great opportunity for learning and for growth and experience. You have the opportunity to try new things, new functions, new departments.
It's a very good company, a strong history, a strong foundation, very progressive moving forward, and I really enjoy working.
I just think that my little way I can make an impact in millions of people's lives.
Good morning. Well, I'm Alice Martin, and that was our college recruiting video. And to make that video, we had people just go stand out in our courtyard, and we just said, go on out there and see what happens. And you could tell from the looks of their happy faces that people do just really get along well at NIBCO. So I thought I'd start a little bit with my career background. I do have an undergraduate degree in health education and psychology from Eastern Illinois University, and I have an MBA from University of Illinois. Then I went to work at a big money center bank in Chicago. I completed a 7-month training program there, and then I was assigned corporate banking accounts. And my accounts were in Indiana. That's where I met my husband. My husband at the time was executive vice president of NIBCO. So I married one of my customers. And my other customers asked if I would like to come work for them. And I chose another Elkhart company to come work for, and I came to work for CTS Corporation when I first moved to Elkhart. And after that, I worked in, after I left CTS in the Treasury Department, I went to work for another local bank. I spent at least the next 15 years sitting on 30 to 40 charitable boards. I've sat on every local board in Elkhart, Indiana. I sat on regional boards, statewide boards, and even a couple of national boards during that time. I highly recommend that experience for all of you. If you get the opportunity to sit on charitable boards, You have a lot that you can help these boards with, plus it helps you. It will really help advance your career. It teaches you how boardrooms work, and that's important to know. That helped me a lot in my career, to know how the boardroom really functions. In 1986, I started writing the message to the shareholders for our company. And I've continued doing that for 25 years. At the time, there really wasn't anyone at the company that had any expertise in fashioning messages that would get our shareholders' attention and convey the message that we wanted to convey, that we were a strong company and that we were doing well. So I took over the production of that over time, and now I do all the annual reports and all the quarterly reports. And that is an important function, because if you control the communications, you really control a lot in a company. So then I became the problem solver. And you might think, oh gosh, that's terrible. Why would you want to be the problem solver? But once you become known as the person that people can go to solve the problems, you can get ahead in your career. And in 1993, the chairman came to me and said, we've really got this problem. We have 50 people coming to the Super Bowl that we're supposed to be entertaining, and nobody's done anything on this. And it was about 2 to 3 weeks before the Super Bowl. So I jumped in and took over that project and executed a great time for the 50 customers that were flying into Atlanta. So once you become known as the person who can solve problems, like I said, it really helps your career and it helps you advance. And this is one of my favorite sayings. It's by Ann Landers. Opportunities are usually disguised as hard work, so most people don't recognize them. But if you're willing to jump in at the last minute and make things happen, you can really get ahead. Another problem area I took over during the years was one night with really no notice. I was told that there was a problem in our marketing communications area. The person that was running that department was actually a really terrible manager. Imagine that out in the real world you might run into really terrible managers. And actually there'd been a little bit of an office coup, in that everybody that reported to this person came to the vice president and said, we can't stand her. We can't stand her as a manager, and you have to do something about her or we're all going to quit. So I was asked one night to take over marketing communications the very next day. So I took over this department for 1 year and stabilized it, and then we recruited a vice president of marketing who then did eventually take over marketing communications. But again, that willingness to just jump in and take over a problem and fix the problem or stabilize the problem will really help you in your career. In 2000, I was voted to the NIBCO Inc. Board of Directors. And as the video alluded to, NIBCO is a family business. My husband is 4th generation to run the company. The company has a rule, only 1 family member per generation. My husband has brothers and sisters, and he competed with them and won out. So there's only 1 per generation. The brother and sisters are out. And you can probably imagine where in-laws fall in the scheme of things. We're less than nowhere. So it was pretty huge that I was ever voted to be on the board of directors of the family business. I know a lot of family businesses are run more as employment agencies for the family, but NIBCO is just the opposite. 1 per generation, that's it. And of course, in-laws are not allowed. So it was quite an honor that I was elected to the board. And we do have a full outside board of directors that gives us advice and guidance on how to run the company. And that also is unusual for family businesses. A lot of family businesses don't have boards of directors, and if they do, it's just inside people, inside advisors. So we try to run NIBCO like a publicly traded company, and that has served us very well for 107 years. Then I was voted to the Board of Directors Nominating Committee, and I became chairman of that, and I have selected all of the other board members for the Board of Directors. In 2001, my husband and I started the Rex and Alice A. Martin Charitable Foundation. And one of our focuses has been building a major project in each one of our locations. Not just in Elkhart, Indiana, where the headquarters is, but also in all of the manufacturing locations. Because I want our associates, when they go out into the community, to feel pride in seeing the NIBCO name on a big charitable project. Another focus that we've had is helping educational institutions. And one of the projects we did was we endowed a business ethics professorship here at University of Notre Dame. 2002, I was voted vice chairman of the board. Then I was voted lead director of the board. And you're hearing more and more about lead directors. They fill an important role. If there should ever be a problem with management, or the outside directors all went to get together and discuss a problem with the company, they go to the lead director, and the lead director is the person responsible for going to the CEO or the chairman and telling them about the issue. We had our centennial celebration, and I oversaw all of the activities for that in 2003 and 2004. But my biggest opportunity came in 2005. In 2005, we had what's called strategy deployment. And in strategy deployment, you decide that you're going to focus on just a few important projects. And in having these outside consultants come in and tell us about the most important projects that we needed to focus on, the consultants also analyzed the different functions of the company. And lo and behold, they found out that the biggest problem at NIBCO was the human resources department. And the consultants said, the human resources department is so bad, there's no leadership, it's not fulfilling its mandate, and the consultant said, we really don't think that the human resources department can recruit the people you're going to need in order to fulfill your mandate, to fulfill these very important projects that need to be done in the next few years. So again, I was offered the opportunity to manage what was perceived to be the biggest problem in the company, and that was human resources. So one of the things I did was I looked for an executive human resources program to go to quickly, one that I could get into right away and graduate from. And so I chose the University of Michigan. I went there and graduated from that program. I created the position, Chief People Officer. I didn't really like the title Human Resources that much. I think it's okay. But I think it's all about the people. So I created the title Chief People Officer to set that tone that we're about people. And then I resigned as lead director because you can't be lead director at the same time that you're heavily involved in the company. So, are there any questions about my career background? Okay, then I'll go on to the corporate overview of NIBCO. Give you a few more insights about our company. Established in 1904, so we're 107 years old. we've been headquartered in Elkhart, Indiana since inception. Privately held company, but all of our associates own stock. So everyone is a shareholder. And I think that's really helps us keep people aligned. If you make everyone owners, then every decision becomes more important to them. And it is a family-controlled company. Yes? NIBCO used to stand for Northern Indiana Brass Company. And in 1960, we decided that we were a lot larger than Northern Indiana. So just took away that Northern Indiana brass part and made it NIBCO. By 1960, we were already national and somewhat international. Good question. We have 2,300 associates. We call our employees associates, and that works for us to say that. I think it gives a better connotation of the working relationship. As I said before, all NIBCO associates are owners. That's very, very helpful, and that's one of our competitive advantages. We have 9 manufacturing locations in the United States and 33,000 SKUs. There's a picture of the 4 generations of the family leadership. The first generation, Casper Schweitzer, his entire dream was to own his own business. That was it. I just want to own my own business. And so he saved up his money, and he knew he had to have a customer. In fact, that's one of the quiz questions I always give people when I have our new college recruits in. I'll say, what's the one thing you have to start a business? And it's you have to have a customer. So Casper went looking for a customer, and he went to Chicago. And Chicago didn't have any customers, but Chicago said, he found some people in Chicago that told him that in Elkhart, Indiana, there was a musical instrument company that needed someone to make cornet keys. And that company was C.G. Kahn, a cornet manufacturer. So he moved to Elkhart, Indiana, started his business there, and made cornet keys. That was the first generation. Second generation was Ross Martin, and Ross decided NIBCO should not make products for other companies. NIBCO should make their own products. And he saw that the plumbing industry was really starting to take off in the United States. So Ross determined that NIBCO would make copper fittings. And copper fittings are integral to behind-the-wall plumbing. Ross was responsible for bringing copper indoor plumbing to the United States. If you go and look in underneath your sinks in your dorms or your apartments, you look under there, most likely you'll see copper plumbing, and hopefully you'll see NIBCO on the copper fittings on that plumbing. So second generation was responsible for that. And of course the company really took off at that point. During World War II, Ross converted one of our factories to solely making valves for the U.S. Navy's ships. And Ross started making a lot of money off the U.S. government, making these valves. Ross was a patriot, and he decided that it was not patriotic to make money off the U.S. government during wartime. So Ross went to Washington, D.C. and gave all the profits back. The third generation, Lee Martin, Lee expanded the company into plastic fittings and also expand in 2 locations, in Goshen, Indiana, and Greensboro, Georgia. So first we were in metal plumbing, and then we expanded into metal valves. Now, under Lee's leadership, we're in plastic plumbing. And then my husband, Rex Martin, he really led our innovation and growth strategy. he decided that we needed to be the technology leader. And have you heard of the company SAP, which is it's an enterprise-wide resource planning system. We were the first successful installation of SAP in the United States. Back when we did our installation, most companies that were doing that were failing, and then they couldn't get production out, they couldn't get their customers billed, they couldn't tell about their payables. It really wrecked their companies for many months, and we were the first successful installation of SAP. So we have been the technology leader in our industry since that time. Rex also led us into some other product categories. The copper plumbing industry is changing from soldering. If you've ever seen a plumber come to your house with a flame and a torch and put copper plumbing together, it's very unsafe and it's time consuming. There's a new system, press system, that takes 2 seconds to press the connection. We're in that. We've also expanded into PEX. We've expanded into a fire protection line and lead-free. There is a new initiative in the United States that all of the plumbing that touches any of the water that you drink has to be lead-free. And that goes totally into effect in 2014. President Obama signed that into law. So in our industry, that's big. Our vision is to be ahead of the flow, want to be always ahead of the competition, and providing the best that we possibly can for our customers. We have 4 core values, and I know that core values are kind of a trendy thing that recently a lot of companies have come up with core values. But we've had core values for a very long time. Integrity, and integrity is very important to us. We terminate people who do not have good integrity. And that can be unusual in companies because the tendency is for managers to say, but things are going well. This person is really doing a good job. Why would we want to mess things up? So what if he cheated on his expense report? Or so what if he has a little side business? And he's taking time off from work to go work on his side business. A lot of companies do just kind of take a blind eye to that. We do not. We have a legal hotline where people can call in and report ethical violations, and we investigate every single one of them and take some kind of action on the ethical violations. So we take integrity very, very seriously at our company. And it doesn't matter how high you are in the company either. I recently terminated a vice president who had been acting unethically. Safety. Safety is critical to us. And in manufacturing, hardcore manufacturing, safety is incredibly important. But I can't tell you how many companies do cut corners there as well. I interview people from other manufacturing companies, and they tell me about how certain machines aren't hand-guarded or the floors are dirty. We have never had a safety suggestion investment that was not approved. In other words, anything for safety, carte blanche, we'll spend it. And in the world of safety in manufacturing, the metric is total case incidence rate. And for foundries, which we are in, the average is a total case incidence rate of 9. We're at 1.2 company-wide and always trying to get lower. Teamwork is one of our core values. You have to be a nice person to work at NIBCO, and you have to help other people. It's part of the camaraderie, part of the family atmosphere, and it's just being a nice person. It's not competitive, it's collegial. And of course, continuous improvement. We couldn't possibly stay in business 107 years if we didn't always look to improve. Not just our products, but improve our people and improve our facilities. This is one of the things I tell our customers, and this is one of our big competitive advantages. I will say to our customers, what's your definition of an American company? Because people have different definitions. Is your definition of an American company that the manufacturing is in the United States? Or is your definition that the owners are in the United States? Or is your definition that the headquarters are in the United States, but it's okay to have the manufacturing in India and China? What makes a company an American company? Well, with NIBCO, we meet all of the criteria. We have manufacturing plants in the United States. In fact, 8 out of 9 are in the United States. We have distribution in the United States. We're headquartered in the United States, and we've always been headquartered in the U.S. We have U.S. employees, U.S. management, and very importantly to us, U.S. owners. So there is a big Buy American drive on right now, and a lot of our competitors put up advertising trying to put a little asterisk after American company and then explain how they're an American company. NIBCO meets every criteria for being an American company. So we make the stuff behind the wall. That's the important part to know. We don't make the faucets. We don't make bathtubs or sinks. We make all of the parts behind the wall that really make the plumbing in your home function. And we have lots of different markets that we supply that to. Residential, so it's your home, but it's not just your home. It's commercial, fire protection, industry, irrigation, and industrial. And the channels that we sell into are the wholesale channel, the retail channel. If you go to Menards and look in the plumbing aisle, it's all NIBCO. Also Home Depot and Lowe's in the retail channel. And then we sell internationally as well. And it's interesting to note that international companies really want to buy American products. So here's where our locations are. We have plastics plants in Charlestown, Indiana, Goshen, Indiana, Greensboro, Georgia, and Lebanon, Ohio. We have metals in Stewart's Draft, Virginia, Blytheville, Arkansas, Nacogdoches, Texas, McAllen, Texas, and then the one that's outside of the United States, Reynosa, Mexico, that's just over the border. And then we have distribution centers tied to the manufacturing locations. And that cuts our costs and gives faster shipping to the customers. So our strategic initiatives are to grow. We're a good-sized company already, but of course we want to grow. You always have to grow in business. And lean, there's a concept in manufacturing, lean manufacturing, where you take all of the waste out of your manufacturing plants and you organize your manufacturing plants so that there's the fewest steps possible to make the plants as efficient as possible. And we've been working on our lean journey for 7 years, and we're getting more and more sophisticated at that. And then this MAX initiative is material alternative exploration, and that's for the lead-free legislation that's coming in 2014. Our key success factors, of course, they have to be our people. And as I said before, all of our people are owners. So that keeps everyone aligned. We all want to make money. We all want to be successful. Everyone wants to see their stock price go up. We have a customer focus. We have market leadership in our products, innovation in our products and our processes, and excellence in our supply chain, and very important, public responsibility. We feel that in every community we're in, we want to make that community better than the way we found it. This is our product offering. We have a wide range of products for both the industrial markets, as I said before, and the residential markets. We have a wide range of both plastic and metal fittings, lead-free products, valves and actuation. We're very big in valves. And Blaze Master, which is fire protection, and then some plumbing specialty products. Here's a breakdown of our sales. Our two biggest categories are valves and fittings. We're looking to grow our two of our other areas in particular. One is PEX, which is only 5% of our sales right now. Very much looking to grow that. And of course, lead-free isn't even on this chart, but looking to grow our lead-free as well. As I talked about earlier, the NIBCO press system, where you just have a tool and you press the copper fittings down, takes a couple of seconds versus soldering. And that is the wave of the future in plumbing. And NIBCO PEX, which is the wave of the future in residential plumbing. And then Blaze Master is fire protection. These are some of our other most recent product introductions. The lead-free with the white handles. And you will be hearing more and more about this because it is a safety issue for people to have totally lead-free potable water. So, in 2009, the Great Recession started. And U.S. gross domestic product weakened. And not only weakened, it slowed to a crawl. In 2011, we're projecting it's only going to be 1.5%. And next year, 2012, we're projecting it's going to be even lower at only 1.2%. As you all know, home prices just took a huge slide. And they started to make a comeback, and now they're back down again. And housing starts are 25% of what they used to be. We used to have 2 million housing starts a year in the United States, and now we're looking at 500,000 housing starts. That's devastating to an economy. Housing starts typically lead the economy. So they lead us. When housing starts go down, they lead us into recession, and when they start to come back up, they'll be the indicator that leads us out of recession. So based on our projections for next year, the recession's still going to be here. So if you're graduating next year, it's still going to be a tough economy. We also track non-residential construction, because we serve lots of markets, not just residential construction, but non-residential construction, which would be like apartment buildings and some other commercial structures. And that's in decline as well. Typically, those two markets are contracyclical. It's unusual to have both in decline. And then remodeling activity. When you think about that, people typically, if they're not buying a new home, they're going to remodel the home that they currently have. And remodeling activity is down too. And remodeling activity and housing starts are also contracyclical. So we thought we had our bases covered, being in these different markets that are typically contracyclical, but for this recession, all three are down. So here's the money shot. How's NIBCO doing in all of these terrible economies? So earnings per share, 2007, $2.65 a share. But by 2010, it had more than doubled to $5.66 a share. Return on assets almost doubled from 4.1% in 2007 to 8.1% in 2010. Return on equity went from 10.2% to 16.6%. So despite this terrible economy, NIBCO continues to perform really well. This is one of the internal charts that we show our people. What if you had invested $100 in 2001 in NIBCO, or you had invested $100 in our peer group, which is really a nice way of saying our competition. And we have some publicly traded competitors that we monitor. So we see how they're doing, and we put them all in a basket, and we call them our peer group. Or you could have invested $100 in the Standard & Poor's 500. So in 2001, you can see everybody starts out at $100. NIBCO's the blue chart, and S&P 500 is the red. And you can see that by 2011, the person who had put $100 in NIBCO stock has more than doubled their money. It's up to about $210. If you'd put $100 in our competition, you would have lost money. Our competition's under $100 by 2011. And the S&P 500, you would have made a little bit, about $20 possibly, so $120. So this is one of the charts that we show all of our associates all the time to keep them on the same page, keep them motivated, and show them how well things are going. You always need that, right? You need that scorecard. Like you get grades all the time, you need that to keep you motivated. We need our scorecard to keep everybody at NIBCO motivated. This shows our annual stock appreciation. Even though we're a private company, we get our stock valued 2 times a year by an outside valuation company. So if you'd invested in NIBCO stock for just 1 year, you would have had almost a 23% return. 3 years, 16.7% return, 5 years, 11.7% return, and the 10-year aggregate return over the entire 10 years, 8.1% each year. So I thought I'd look ahead to the future for the company. In our industry, there's a huge change going on, which I think is a great opportunity. It'd be boring if it just stayed the same all the time. We need new challenges, as if the economy wasn't enough of a challenge, right? But this shows the difference in the plumbing tube materials, or what your plumbing is going to be made of. And you can see that in 1999, almost all of it was copper. But by 2010, only 43% of it is copper. It's switching over to PEX. And PEX is easier to install. It's plastic. You can plumb a whole house in about 2 days with PEX, whereas it'd take you several days with copper. So the whole industry is evolving. And we're the leader in copper. We're the ones who invented copper plumbing for the US market. So for us, this is a big opportunity. We get to change. We get to change from copper to PEX for residential. And non-residential is sticking with copper, as you can see, for the most part. In 1999, it was all copper. 2010, it's 90% copper. But the copper is changing. It's going away from the kind of copper fittings that we're typically making to the press copper fittings, because they're so much easier to use. And repair and remodel is also changing. Copper's declining, and PEX, again, is the product that people want for repair and remodel. So the wrought and cast copper fittings that NIBCO currently makes are being replaced by press copper fittings that we make and by PEX. So it's a whole revolution in the plumbing industry. And our industry doesn't change that often, but right now it's totally changing, which is, I think, exciting. Then there's the legislation for the lead-free that's going into effect in 2014. It already went into effect in California and Vermont, and we have our entire product line ready to go. There's also sprinkled fire protection laws for individual homes. And these laws are being enacted across the country in municipalities, which would say that if you want to build a new house, you need to sprinkle it. Well, lucky for us, we make the products to sprinkle your house. And then we've also targeted new customer groups. So those are some new opportunities for us at NIBCO. And another opportunity we have at NIBCO is the 5th generation. We're in our 4th generation right now, and you may know that it's very difficult to hand companies down from generation to generation. The U.S. tax code, there's something called estate taxes that makes it a little bit challenging to hand businesses down from generation to generation. We've been very fortunate in that we've been able to do that. And we have our 5th generation selected, and she's here today. Ashley, would you like to stand up? And Ashley is, we can clap for Ashley. Ashley is a graduate of the Mendoza College of Business with a marketing degree. Then she went to work, after she graduated in 2007, she went to work for one of our customers for 4 years, and now she's getting her MBA at Southern Methodist University. The only reason she went to Southern Methodist University rather than Notre Dame was just to hear a different voice, a different group of professors, so, and live in a different region of the country. So we're very fortunate that we have someone that wants to be the next generation, and that we have someone who's so well qualified thanks to her great education that she received at Notre Dame. So in human resources, what am I doing? First of all, are there any questions about the company? Yes?
I'm kind of curious, because I know that Reynosa is right across the border from McAllen, Texas.
Yes.
What was the reason that you decided to expand to Reynosa? And then also, are you having issues with your plant as Reynosa is kind of a hotspot for, you know, the drug cartels and everything?
Great questions. Okay. If you didn't hear the question, he asked how we selected Reynosa. We selected Reynosa 25 years ago. There was a law enacted called the Maquiladora law that enabled U.S. manufacturing companies to be able to manufacture just across the border in Mexico, and then if you brought them across the border to a complementary plant on the other side, and we have McAllen, Texas as our complementary plant, you didn't have to pay taxes on bringing the products in. And of course, Mexico, lower wages there. We think our plant there does an excellent job. But that was a law that I think went into effect about 30 years ago, and we got in on that fairly early. Like I said, our Reynosa plant just celebrated 25 years. As far as your question about the drug cartels and all the violence, yes and yes. You are absolutely right. There is a lot of violence in Reynosa, and in fact, some of our top managers at Reynosa, I've just paid to relocate them to the United States, and we're helping them become U.S. citizens. We're trying to get them out of Reynosa. It is a very dangerous place to be. Excellent questions. Yes?
I have a question about, you talked about the industry you're in.
Yes.
All 3 sections.
you. Well, first of all, I have to say it's our people, right? Because it's all about the people. But one of the things we did as soon as the recession hit in 2009 is we acted quick. Very quickly, I think, to cut costs. One of the things we did have to do, we did have to close 2 manufacturing locations, and we closed 3 distribution centers. So, and I volunteered for those jobs because I think that the worst jobs, the nastiest jobs, should flow up, not the opposite. And I've told my team, I will never ask you to do anything harder than I would do myself. And I'm going to take on the hardest jobs. So I went to those locations, those manufacturing locations and those distribution centers, and I made the announcement that we were going to be closing the location. And I offered them a generous severance package, or I offered them the chance to relocate to one of our other locations. And I think that's unique. I have not heard of another company that has offered that. I said to them, this location does not work for us. This building in this town does not work for NIBCO. But you are great. You're doing a fabulous job. So I would love to keep you. And if you will move to one of our other manufacturing plants, I'll give you $10,000 as a bonus. I'll give you $10,000 in moving expenses, and I will give you $10,000 to your favorite charity. You pick it. You pick the charity. So I was able to do this for every single person that was going to be losing their job because of closing these facilities. And I think that went over really well. It made them feel wanted. And it was very, very sincere. So I was offering each person $30,000, in essence, if they could move. I bet you're going to ask me how many people moved. That's usually the question I get next. Not very many people moved. But I was willing to put my money where my mouth was. If every single person in all those plants had said, I'll take that $30,000 deal, I'm moving here, would have done it. Would have done it in a heartbeat. What ended up happening is a lot of people were really tied to their communities, and they just said, I can't move. Another thing I did in order to entice them to move was I gave them all a free bus trip for the weekend to the new location. It was like, hey, come check out Stewart's Draft, Virginia. You can't live in South Glens Falls, New York anymore, but I've got this great place in Stewart's Draft, Virginia. So let's take a bus trip and let's see Stewart's Draft. And let's meet the plant manager and let's go on a plant tour. We did all of that, no questions asked, for everybody who wanted to go on a free bus tour for the weekend. So that went over really well. The end result was most people didn't move. And so we did reduce our headcount. We went from 3,000 associates to 2,300 associates. We also cut back on other expenses all throughout the company. Travel was limited, and we just cut back on all kinds of unnecessary expenses. We used to have a corporate jet, got rid of the corporate jet. Darn it. I was liking that corporate jet. That was fun. But if you're going to make cuts for factories, it's important that executives make cuts as well. And I think that's, again, one of our competitive advantages, is that we want everybody to feel the pain together. Any other questions? Mm-hmm.
Particularly making investments at a time when the demand is going to go down.
Mm-hmm. Right. We have always made that decision that we have to reinvest in the company. It's critical to us. So that's never a question. We always invest in safety, and part of our policy deployment is to select the most critical products and projects that we have to invest in. And we sit and talk about those and look at all the numbers of the size of the market, a lot of slides like you just saw, to analyze which products we absolutely have to be in. Like back here, let's see this one. Residential. That's where we started. That's our home. And residential copper is in total decline from 53% of the market to only 10% of the market. We said we have to be there. We have to switch. We have to make these changes or our business will disappear. So it's a good example of how companies have to change in order to continue to be successful. Because the market's changing. If we don't invest in these products, we'll go out of business.
I just want to emphasize for the students, though, if you look at 11 years of data, you see why you need to do it. But when you were in 1999, you know, you guess it will probably happen. But making the investment at that point was probably a just move.
Thank you. And I was just at our Stewart's Draft, Virginia plant, which is the plant that currently makes wrought copper fittings. And they have to now make pressed copper fittings. And it sounds like that'd be easy. I mean, how simple can that be? You're making a copper fitting, and now you just have to change the end so that it crimps when a tool presses down on it. It's a totally, totally different product. And I told them, look, you used to make sliced bread. Let's say wrought copper fittings are sliced bread. And it's pretty easy. If you get a little bit too much dough in the pan and it rises a little bit too high, that's okay. And if the slicer comes down and it's off 1/4 inch on cutting the slices of the bread, it's probably okay. You can still sell that. That's sliced bread. Guess what? The industry is going to croissants. And the process of making croissants is totally different. It's very, very labor intensive. You have to roll out the dough just perfectly so. You have to cut it perfectly so. You have to pastry brush butter on it and then roll up the little slices, and there's no margin for error. That's what we're going to. We're going from sliced bread to croissants, and everybody here has to learn how to make croissants. Uh-huh.
Do you believe that there will always be a market, even if it's a small one, for sliced bread?
Yes, yes. And so we will still make a little bit of sliced bread, but I wanted to stress to them that they needed to get on board with croissants. Because, of course, people are resistant to change. It's like, oh, I want to stay over here in this side of the factory and continue to make sliced bread. And they didn't want to apply for the jobs over on the other side of the factory that were making croissants, because that's harder to do, and you had to learn new skills. So that's why I was stressing to them, sliced bread's going away. But I was exaggerating a little bit. Good question. Yes? Oh, great question. Great question. We have an employee stock ownership plan that we just put in place. Have you heard of ESOPs before? Okay. There's some tax advantages that the government put in place for ESOPs. But even before the government put those in place, we've had employee ownership since 1922. Even when there weren't tax advantages to having employee ownership. And that was one of the brilliant things the second generation of NIBCO put in place. And he said, just intuitively, he said, I want everybody to be an owner. And he went out on the factory floor and said, George, I'm going to take $7 out of your paycheck this week, and you're going to be an owner of NIBCO. So the way it works at NIBCO is you can have payroll deduction, and people buy NIBCO stock. The employees buy NIBCO stock. And then 2 times a year, right after it's valued, you can sell your NIBCO stock. So from a cash flow perspective, that's one of the things we have to anticipate, is how much NIBCO stock is going to come back to us that we're going to have to buy, and how much investment we're going to need to make in all of our factories. So it's definitely a consideration. But people can sell 2 times a year. Any other questions? Yes? Great questions. We're ahead of the competition on the lead-free. 2 states already have enacted the lead-free law, California and Vermont, and we had all of our products ready to go in 2010. So we are the authority on lead-free, and we expect to continue to stay the authority on lead-free. And one of our advantages was, back in the 1980s, my husband thought lead-free would be the way to go. Way before this legislation came into effect. He just thought lead in water is a big issue, and so we started experimenting with lead-free back in the 1980s. Now, he was ahead of his time, and those products didn't pan out, but what it did do for us was it gave us a leap ahead now for lead-free. Because the alloy that we experimented with was bismuth, and we found out that that doesn't work. So now, this generation of lead-free, we're using silicon. And guess what all of our competitors are using? Bismuth. Bismuth. So we think we are in great shape. So that failed investment that my husband made back in the 1980s is paying off well for us. And good question about the turnover. I'm just getting to that. So thank you for setting that question up. Yes? How much of your current product lines contain lead? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that? How much of your current product lines contain lead? How much contains lead? The valves would. I'd say maybe 40% contain lead. The copper fittings don't. Copper's lead-free. So 40%. Okay. So in human resources, my overall goal is helping people reach their potential. And that's a little bit different tagline than you typically hear for human resources. A lot of times the tagline for human resources is cutting costs wherever we can. My tagline is helping people reach their potential. So my job is to strategically balance the needs of the associates with the needs of the corporation. So I love this Dilbert cartoon where the guy says, I get sleepy in the afternoon and I'm not a morning person. I'm at my best for about an hour in between, which explains why I am an exceptionally good lunch eater. How's the workforce skills assessment going? I just sold all of my company stock. That's my job, is to keep people from selling their company stock. Obviously, I can't have everybody rush in the 1st of September or the 1st of March and sell all of their company stock. So I have to keep people happy. And the same people that are our investors are the same people that work for us. So it's a balancing act. I have to keep everybody happy. We have to keep them invested. So my job is to get the right people in the right places. I made 56 upgrades in people over the past 5 years. And how did I calculate that? I went to my HR team and I said, here's the person that left. Here's the person that replaced that person. Did they have better did the replacement have better education? Did the replacement have better experience? Is the replacement a better manager? And we analyzed all those things to decide if we had upgraded or not. So we had 56 upgrades over 5 years. This is in salaried positions. And we also started new departments, like the pricing department and project management department. So I'm a firm believer that if you get the right people in the right places, a lot of good things happen, and that helps explain how this stock price has been doing well. It wasn't just cutting costs in the beginning, but it's also getting the right people in the right places. So here's our turnover rates. When I started in 2006, company-wide turnover was just about 35%. That is really not good, because you think about that, a third of your people are leaving every year. How successful can you be if a third of your people are leaving? And you're spending all your time bringing new ones in, and people don't get up to speed the day they walk in the door. It takes, based on the position, between a week to several months to get them up to speed. So obviously turnover is something that you want to control. So in 2006, company-wide turnover was 35% almost. This year, I'm projecting it's going to be 11.5%. Last year, it was 13%. That's much more manageable. Much more manageable. And there is a certain amount of turnover that you want. Not everybody works out. We'd like every single person that we hire to just be perfect and work out, but not every single person does work out, and you do have to outsource them. And if they're really bad, of course you want to outsource them to your competition. One of the other things I did was we started, yes?
You had said through this great recession you've had some contraction with your facilities, shutting them down. Is that figure in 2010 part of your contraction? And then also, when one of your slides had growth as one of your top 3 initiatives, I think. Well, you're contracting, you're not growing, and so will you grow back into those communities and rehire those people back? Or will you, and maybe you can't answer this really, or do you go in a different direction? How do your growth strategies work?
We are growing. We are growing. Great question. He was asking, since we closed down some factories, how are we growing? What we did was we consolidated those factories into other factories, and then with lean manufacturing, we became more efficient, so that means you can have a lot more output from the same plant that you had before. So we're a lot more efficient. We got rid of older buildings, and then the 2,300 associates that we have through lean manufacturing and through more training, they're more efficient and they're putting out more product than we were before. And every year, well, I took out the closures to answer your question. So this was the true, these are the true turnover rates back then. Yes?
With the Great Recession, do you think that's why turnover fell in 2009 so drastically, because the job market was...
Great question. He asked if that's why turnover fell so drastically was because the job market became more difficult because of the Great Recession, right? And I think that's a part of it. You're absolutely right. Very, very astute. That's part of it. But the other thing is top performers, your stars can go anytime. And so you got to try and keep the stars. Even in a recession, stars can find other employers. So I do think that was part of it, but I also think that we're doing a better job of controlling turnover. Other questions? Okay. So I think this is one of the things, too, that helps with our turnover, is the in-house wellness program that we have. I spend $40,000 annually on an in-house wellness program. I looked at the local hospitals, and they would charge me $300,000 a year for them to come in and do the wellness program. I think that wellness works better when it's an internal program, when your own executives are helping with it, and people you know are helping you get healthier. It's much more effective if your roommate, for example, says to you, hey, let's go work out at the gym, versus if you get a call from somebody you don't even know saying, were you thinking you'd work out today? Well, it's real easy to say, no. So I really believe in internal wellness programs. They not only have a big cost differential, I think they're much more effective. I think it helps retention. I think it boosts morale. Nothing says you care about people more than saying, I care about your health and I want you to stay healthy. And it also assists us with our recruiting. So throughout the recession, we were still college recruiting at 6 different universities. Also reduces healthcare costs to have a wellness program. So I have a wellness team from all different functions of the company. We built a gym on site in the corporate headquarters. We built a gym and we built a kitchen. I hired a personal trainer, and she's free to all the associates. Anytime you want to go and work out, Missy the trainer's there to help you work out. Changed all the vending machines to healthy food and got rid of the full-calorie soda. We have a nib garden at all locations, and we have a smoking cessation contest going on between our 2 manufacturing sites that have the most smokers. So here we are at the smoking cessation contest at one of our plants. There I am, there's the plant manager, and there's Rex Martin. And Rex Martin used to smoke, so he was there telling everybody at the plant how he used to smoke and how they should all quit. That's very powerful when you can get executives to do that. Here's a picture of our gym at the corporate headquarters. All kinds of treadmills, televisions, free weights. Here we are at the nib garden. Every location has a nib garden where we grow vegetables, and then the mandate is to cook up the vegetables and serve them to the associates. So that's at the corporate headquarters. This group up there is the executive leadership team, and we're all in there working in the nib garden. Healthcare costs. And you hear a lot, especially now with Obama's healthcare reform, that everybody's healthcare costs are skyrocketing. We're very fortunate in that ours have declined. 2006, we're at 10.2 million. In 2008, we peaked at 11.2 million. Then we started on the decline. I think that's when the wellness program really kicked in. And for 2011, I'm projecting we'll be in at 7.4 million. So because of this, because of the decline in our healthcare costs, I haven't had to raise premiums to our associates for 3 years, and the benefits have not been changed. You hear a lot about co-pays going up and deductibles going up and employees having to pay more for their health insurance. We haven't had to do that at NIBCO. So I have a reward and recognition program, associate recognition of excellence. And each person that wins receives $5,000. They get a Super Bowl-sized ring, a statue to put in their workspace, an engraved picture on the NIBCO Wall of Fame. This costs me $200,000 each year. And each year I add up the impact the projects made. In the projects that we just rewarded in 2011, a cost savings of $3 million and new sales projects of $2.7 million. That's pretty good return on a $200,000 investment. Plus, it makes people happy. Here's one of the pictures from our award ceremony. Everyone who's a winner comes into the world headquarters, and we have a big ceremony, and they receive their checks, their rings, and their awards. There's the table full of awards, and there's one of our award teams. I think this team is from the sliced bread conversion to croissant team. Need to keep them engaged, right? I need these guys. And these are guys that work on the factory floor, but they came up with ways to save money and make croissants better. So I also have a women's leadership program. I firmly believe it's not a glass ceiling, it's a sticky floor. And that means that a lot of times women don't get that first opportunity to move up. They get recruited into a company and they get that entry-level job, but they never get that first opportunity to move up, and that's very important. So in 2010, I started a women's program at NIBCO. I took the 35 highest ranked women throughout the company. This includes headquarters and the sites. And they also had to have a 4-year degree. So the combination of those two, you had to be a certain rank in the company, which low-level manager, and have a 4-year degree to be in my program. Then each year I have a 2-day off-site conference at my house in Michigan. So I bring them all into my house for 2 days. And we have speakers from outside. And we also have executives from inside the company give them career advice on how to get ahead. Each woman has received a male mentor who's a higher rank than she is. And that has been very valuable. And she meets each month with her male mentor. And we also have, in addition to that, monthly group meetings where we talk about topics that they need to know to be effective in their job. We just met yesterday and we talked about all of the products at NIBCO so that the women could speak intelligently about what NIBCO makes and our markets and where we're going. Because sometimes we get women into functions in the company that don't really have to know about the products. But if you want to get ahead, you need to know everything about the business, and that's what I stress to them. So what kind of results have I gotten? In 18 months, I've had 0 turnover of the women who are in the group, and that used to be a problem. Manufacturing in the United States is very male-dominated, very male-dominated. So the women that we would get in, a lot of times would get discouraged, and then they'd turn around and leave. That doesn't help when that happens. So I've had 0 turnover since I started the program. 7 of the women have been promoted. That's big. Another 10 women have received merit increases, and all in the program have a lot more confidence. One of the things they say about why women don't get ahead as much as men is they just lack confidence. Well, we've definitely increased their confidence. And this is a picture of this past conference in May. There's my husband talking to them. He's giving them career advice, telling them what they need to do to get ahead. And you can tell they're listening and they're taking notes. So, any questions on human resources? Okay. I have some career advice for you. Since I'm busy giving it to people at NIBCO, I thought I would give you career advice as well. Find your passion. That's very important. You have to be enthusiastic about what you're going to do. If you're not enthusiastic, it definitely isn't going to go well. So find your passion and select a career that can align with that. Ashley, are you passionate about what you're going to do? And you're passionate, right? Great, that's what we need. Okay, the guy comes in and he says, I hate sales. Can you cross-train me to be an engineer? Absolutely. All you need is a time machine and a brain with twice as many folds as your current model. Maybe I could try marketing. That's just liquor and guessing. Our marketing department loves that. That's just liquor and guessing. But it goes to the fact that you need to find your passion, and the earlier you can find it, you don't have to go to HR and ask for a brain with more folds in it. So when you find your passion, every day becomes fun. It's not work. If you select a job just for the money, they can't pay you enough. If you think about it, they can't possibly pay you enough. If you're just there for the money, you're going to be thinking all day, man, I hate this job. How much am I getting paid? I don't get paid enough. I want a raise. You find your passion, every day just flies by. Select a career with visibility. That's very important. If you want to get ahead in your career, you have to have visibility. And if you select something without so much visibility, you really need to make your own visibility. One of the things I did when I started in human resources was I decided that I needed to give a presentation to the board of directors every board meeting. I wasn't on the agenda. I was never scheduled on the agenda in the beginning. The president was scheduled, the chairman was scheduled, the chief financial officer was scheduled. I was not scheduled. So I just went to the chairman and said, it's all about the people. We need to have a human resources report every single board meeting. Okay, so now I'm in front of the board every board meeting talking about what's going on in human resources. But you need to make your visibility. And I've told that to all of the women in my group. One woman in marketing came up with the idea of she sends emails to all of the executives every 2 weeks about what's going on in the market. And these emails come from her, so now they know who she is, and she looks very credible, authoritative, talking about what's going on in the plumbing market. She just came up with that. And I've encouraged them all to do that. If there's a void somewhere, just rush in and fill it, and you'll gain visibility. So there I'm talking about make your own opportunities to increase your visibility. Take on problems, just like I did. Take on problems and solve those problems. In your first assignment, most likely, people are not going to say to you, here's this perfect department. We've worked really hard, and we have the best people in the world, and they all get along great with each other, and they all work really hard, and the products that they work on are all selling perfectly. Profitability is great here. Here, we'd like you to have that department. That doesn't happen. That just never, ever have I seen that happen. It's usually, here's this department. Good luck with that. And the people in that department don't get along, or they don't show up on time, or there's infighting. And then, then you find out the department isn't as profitable as it's supposed to be, or they've overspent their budget, you're already behind. You're going to get all kinds of problems. I'm just saying, be prepared for problems and look at them as opportunities. Make sure you build alliances. Very, very important. You need to know what's going on in the organization you start with. And you have to have alliances. Part of the reason that I have the women's group is, it's not totally because I'm a nice person. It's partly because I need allies. So where else am I going to get allies if not from the other group of women in the company? So now they're all my allies. And if I need to know something, I just call one of them up to my office and I'll say, how's this going in this department? And they tell me. And that helps me a lot. So build alliances.